The sun was sinking low over the wide plains of the American Wild West, painting the sky in shades of gold and dust red. Jack Miller sat alone on the wooden steps of his small ranch house, staring at the empty trail ahead. His dog, Shadow, had been his only companion for years, ever since Jack lost his family and chose a life of isolation. 2 days ago, Shadow had vanished into the hills during a sudden storm. Jack searched endlessly, calling his name until his voice cracked. But the land answered only with silence. The loneliness pressed heavier than ever. Jack blamed himself for letting Shadow wander too far. Nights were the worst. The wind howled through the plains, reminding him of everything he had lost. He kept a lantern by the door, just in case, refusing to accept that his loyal dog might never return. In the Wild West, loss was common, but this felt deeper. Shadow wasn't just a dog. He was family, trust, and the last living bond Jack had left in the world. On the third morning, as dawn broke softly over the hills, Jack heard barking in the distance. At first, he thought it was his imagination. Then the sound grew closer. Jack stood up quickly, heart pounding. From the dusty trail emerged Shadow, thinner and dirt-covered but unmistakably alive. Relief flooded Jack's chest, and tears welled in his eyes. He rushed forward, dropping to his knees as the dog ran straight into his arms, tail wagging furiously. But Shadow wasn't alone. Behind him walked a woman, her steps slow and cautious. She wore torn clothing and carried a small bundle close to her chest. Her face was pale with exhaustion, yet her eyes were strong, filled with quiet determination. Jack stood frozen, confusion mixing with concern. Shadow barked once, as if urging Jack to notice her. The woman stopped a few steps away, uncertainty written across her face. "Please," she said softly, "I am lost. I mean no harm." Jack quickly offered water and guided her to the porch. She introduced herself as Naya, an Apache widow whose husband had been killed during a violent conflict weeks earlier. Since then, she had been wandering, avoiding hostile settlers and dangerous outlaws. She explained how Shadow had found her collapsed near a dry riverbed and refused to leave her side. The dog had shared his food, stayed through the cold nights, and eventually guided her toward the ranch, as if he knew help waited there. As Naya rested, Jack listened quietly, his heart heavy with empathy. He saw the same loneliness in her eyes that lived in his own. The Wild West had taken everything from both of them. Despite cultural differences and the painful history between settlers and Apache people, something deeper connected them. Jack realized Shadow hadn't just returned home. He had brought someone who needed shelter. Just as broken and lost as his owner once was. That night, Jack prepared a simple meal. Naya ate slowly, grateful and cautious. She spoke of her people, her love for her husband, and the fear of surviving alone in a land growing more dangerous by the day. Jack shared little, but his silence spoke volumes. The fire crackled as Shadow lay between them, peaceful at last. For the first time in years, the cabin felt alive, warmed, not just by fire, but by human presence. Days passed, and Naya remained at the ranch. Jack taught her how to tend the horses, while she showed him herbal remedies and ancient survival skills passed down through generations. They spoke through shared gestures and growing trust more than words. Shadow stayed close to Naya, protective yet gentle, as if knowing his role wasn't finished yet. Slowly, laughter returned to the ranch, carried by the wind across the open plains. Danger soon followed. One afternoon, armed men rode near the ranch, searching for Apache survivors. Jack hid Naya and stood his ground, rifle in hand. His voice was steady as he warned them to leave. Shadow growled fiercely beside him. After tense moments, the men backed away, deciding the risk wasn't worth it. When silence returned, Jack realized something had changed. He was no longer living just for himself. Naya thanked Jack with tears in her eyes. She admitted she had expected hatred, not kindness. Jack replied simply that loss taught him the value of compassion. Over time, the ranch became a shared refuge. Naya began to heal, finding strength again, while Jack found purpose beyond survival. The Wild West remained harsh, but within that small ranch, hope quietly grew. As seasons changed, Naya faced a choice to return to her people when it was safe. The farewell was painful but respectful. Shadow wind, softly, sensing the moment. Naya knelt, pressing her forehead to his, whispering gratitude. She looked at Jack, her eyes filled with warmth and resolve. "You gave me life when I had none," she said. Jack nodded, knowing some connections never fade, even across distance. When nausea disappeared into the horizon, Jack returned to his porch, Shadow beside him. The loneliness was no longer empty. It was filled with meaning. Jack looked at the trail, understanding now that even in the wildest lands, compassion could rewrite fate. His dog hadn't just returned home. He had led a lost soul to safety, and reminded a lonely cowboy that family can arrive in the most unexpected ways.